I can, at this time, emphatically state that my relationship with Jack Kennedy was of a close personal nature.
Before there was Monica Lewinsky, there was Judith Campbell Exner, the first woman to publicly claim an affair with a sitting U.S. president. Her relationship with John F. Kennedy began amid the glamour of early 1960s politics and Hollywood celebrity, but it would unravel into one of the most controversial and dangerous love stories in American history. Exner wasn't just a mistress, she was, by her own account, a courier carrying messages between Kennedy and one of the nation's most powerful mafia bosses, Sam Giancana. Her story connected the White House, the mob, and the CIA in ways that historians are still debating today. In her final interviews and memoirs, Exner revealed intimate details about her secret life with Kennedy, from their passionate beginnings to the chilling fear that followed her after his death. A Glamorous Introduction.
Because, among other things, you are seriously ill, and you want this story told prior to your passing. Kindly tell us, in your own words, what, as revealed by Miss Kelly in People magazine, what you didn't tell the Senate Select Committee in 1975.
Well, when I was subpoenaed to appear before the committee, they had come across my name in the White House logs, telephone logs, and they also came across my name in the FBI files of the surveillance of Sam Giancana. At that time, they were investigating the CIA's hiring of Sam Giancana and Johnny Roselli to assassinate Fidel Castro. I mean, I almost left.
Why?
Well, I couldn't reconcile. I just couldn't make it right. I had lived with a man who did nothing but cheat on me the whole time. And here, this is what I was doing to another woman. You know, you don't make that decision lightly.
What made you make that decision?
I just couldn't resist him. I had essentially just lost my heart to him.
Judith Campbell Exner's story began long before she met the president. Born Judith Inmore in New York City in 1934, she grew up in L.A. as the daughter of a successful German architect. By the 50s, she had found her way into Hollywood's social circles, eventually marrying actor William Campbell. The marriage didn't last, but it opened doors into a world of fame, fortune, and danger. After her divorce in 1958, Judith entered a relationship with Frank Sinatra, a connection that forever changed her life. Through Sinatra, she became acquainted with the darker side of the entertainment industry, mingling with underworld figures like Sam Giancana, the Chicago Mafia boss known for his ruthless efficiency and deep influence over American politics. It was in this glittering but perilous environment that she was introduced to John F. Kennedy on February 7, 1960, at Sinatra's home in Palm Springs. Kennedy was then a young senator and Democratic presidential candidate, charismatic and ambitious. For Judith, the attraction was immediate. Within weeks, their connection evolved into an affair that spanned 2.5 years. The early days were intoxicating. Judith later recalled that Kennedy spoke to her with a warmth and focus that made her feel like the only woman in the world. They met secretly in hotel rooms, exchanged phone calls late into the night, and built a relationship that mixed romance with secrecy. But as Kennedy's political power grew, so did the risks surrounding their involvement. The introduction through Sinatra wasn't just a chance encounter. It placed Judith in a dangerous web that tied together the president, organized crime, and covert government operations. What began as a thrilling affair soon became something far more complex and perilous. The Courier Between Two Worlds.
Everyone expects of me to have greater judgment than Jack Kennedy. And this is what always amazes me, that I should have been suspicious. I trusted this man. I loved this man.
By her own admission, Judith's role in Kennedy's life extended far beyond romance. As his presidential campaign intensified, Kennedy sought to strengthen his position in key states, including West Virginia and Illinois, areas where the Mafia's influence was significant. Judith claimed that Kennedy, aware of her connection to Giancana through Sinatra, used her as a messenger to facilitate communications with the mob. She carried sealed envelopes between Kennedy and Giancana, which she was told contained, quote, intelligence material. Decades later, she confessed she believed those envelopes concerned the CIA's collaboration with the Mafia in plots to assassinate Cuban leader Fidel Castro. In one of her most explosive claims, Judith says she once sat on the edge of a bathtub in a Chicago hotel suite while Kennedy and Giancana discussed strategy in the next room. The implications were staggering. If true, they suggested that the sitting president of the United States was entangled in secret dealings with organized crime during a time when his brother, Attorney General Robert Kennedy, was publicly waging war against the Mafia. Judith's story painted a picture of double lives and dangerous contradictions. A president who sought the mob's help while his administration worked to dismantle it. Historians have long debated the accuracy of her claims. Some dismiss them as exaggerations, pointing out the lack of direct documentation, while others note that her travel logs, phone records, and White House visitor logs corroborate much of what she said. According to journalist Anthony Summers, Exner's account, quote, cannot be dismissed, given the consistency of her dates and the confirmation of her visits to the White House. Whether she was a willing participant or an unwitting pawn, Judith found herself in the middle of a deadly game. When she realized how deep the connections ran, she said it was already too late to step away. The love and the loneliness.
What I loved about his face more than anything else was that his eyes smiled. I just couldn't resist him.
For all the political intrigue, Judith's affair with Kennedy was also deeply personal. Beneath the layers of secrecy, she fell in love, and her feelings were genuine. In a 1996 Vanity Fair interview, she admitted, quote, I hated being the other woman. The loneliness of their affair, conducted in shadows and hotel rooms, took an emotional toll. While the world saw Kennedy as a picture of charm and power, Judith saw a man who, in private moments, was restless and burdened by the weight of his ambitions. Their relationship began to deteriorate as Kennedy's responsibilities in the White House grew. She said he became distant, focused on the presidency, and wary of the political risks their affair posed. According to Judith, one of their last encounters took place at Kennedy's Georgetown residence while Jackie Kennedy was away in Florida. She later claimed she became pregnant with Kennedy's child and had an abortion just 10 months before his assassination. Judith's emotional connection to Kennedy never fully faded. Even years later, she spoke of him with affection and sadness rather than anger. In her words, quote, I will be held accountable for my actions, which were I fell in love with a married man, and that was not proper. But your heart rules your head in most instances, and it did with me at the time. Her statements revealed a woman torn between love and guilt, trapped in a world where every choice carried consequences. To the public, she was scandalous. To herself, she was simply a woman who had loved someone she could never truly have. Living in fear.
Jack took my hand and said, let's go into the other room. I want to talk to you. We went into the bedroom and sat on the end of his bed. As I looked up, I saw the tall, thin woman was standing at the other end of the room. She gave me a little smile and went into the bathroom, closing the door. While I was trying to figure out what she was doing there, I heard Jack say something about the three of us going to bed together. I will never remember his exact words because I just couldn't believe my ears. I think I said something like, oh God, Jack, how could you? He said, but it's all right, don't be afraid, I know you'll enjoy it.
When Kennedy was assassinated in November 1963, Judith's world collapsed. Her connection to both the president and Giancana placed her in a dangerous spotlight. She knew secrets that could ruin careers or end lives. After the president's death, she lived in constant fear. She claimed that her home in Newport Beach was heavily guarded, that she slept with a gun under her pillow, and that her private records were hidden beneath her bed. Her fear wasn't unfounded. Sam Giancana, her former lover, was murdered in his Chicago home in 1975, shot 7 times in the head just before he was scheduled to testify before a Senate committee investigating organized crime. Another mobster linked to the CIA's Castro assassination plots, John Roselli, was later found dead in an oil drum floating off the coast of Miami. When Judith herself was called to testify before the U.S. Senate in 1975, she lied. Quote, if I'd told the truth, I'd have been killed, she admitted years later. I kept my secret out of fear. Look what happened to Jack and to Sam. Her testimony was cautious and vague, designed to protect herself rather than to expose the full story. For 2 decades afterward, Judith kept a low profile, living quietly in California. But the weight of her past never left her. In her final years, as she battled cancer, she decided to tell the truth. Quote, for the past 25 years, I have been terrified to tell the truth about my relationship with Jack Kennedy, she told People magazine in 1988. I want to put my life in order so that I can die peacefully. Her confessions reignited debate about Kennedy's ties to organized crime and whether those connections might have played a role in his assassination. While no definitive proof has ever surfaced, her words added one more layer to the enduring mystery surrounding JFK's death. The final years and last words.
Yes, many times.
What'd you do when you went there?
I would have lunch with Jack Kennedy.
Alone?
I won't go into this
Did
anymore.
you ever meet Mrs. Kennedy?
No.
In her last years, Judith lived a quiet, almost reclusive life in Newport Beach. She painted landscapes, cared for her cats, and tried to find peace after decades of controversy. Diagnosed with breast cancer in 1978, she survived far longer than doctors predicted. By the late 1990s, as she faced the final stages of the disease, she reflected publicly on her relationship with Kennedy one last time. In interviews, she spoke less about politics and more about humanity. She admitted she was no longer bitter. "I fell in love with him," she said simply. "It was wrong, but I did." She died of lung cancer September 25, 1999. She was 65. Now it's time to hear from you. Do you believe Judith Exner's claims about carrying messages between President Kennedy and the Mafia? Let us know in the comments section below.